Today on WSRH Extra, a heartbreaking testimonial from a Holocaust survivor. Also, how a local teenager is overcoming his physical limitations. Plus, how one museum is actually encouraging people to play with their antiques. WSRH Extra starts now. Welcome to this episode of WSRH Extra. I'm Caitlin Clark.
And I'm Olivia Evans. This month's show contains a variety of different stories that our student journalists found, both on campus and in our community.
The Holocaust was a mass genocide of European Jews during World War II. In order to keep the memory of this horrific event alive for generations to come, a Holocaust survivor came to Seminole Ridge to tell the kids his heartbreaking story. I was given the opportunity to speak to Mr. Markovitz to learn a little bit more about what happened during his time at Auschwitz.
Administration of the camp decided to move us to a different camp.
The Holocaust was a tragic page in history books, leaving about 6 million Jews dead. With only about 12 survivors left in Palm Beach County, Mr. Markovitz is one of those people, and he says it's becoming increasingly important to sit down and hear stories from less tolerant times.
I'm glad I have survived. There are very few of us are left today. I'm 94 years old and I'm here to tell the story.
The Holocaust was a tragedy which should be taught about and remembered.
It's part of history, and they should know what happened in World War II, because some people forget so quickly what happened.
The heartbreaking story about Mr. Markovitz and his family that he shared with us is one to be heard around the world.
Because they were totally undressed and ready for showers, but the water never came. All they got is gas, poison gas. Your mom and my brother were already dead, and they are right now taken them to the crematorium. And it's just like hitting me with a baseball bat.
Sympathy not only filled the room, but the hearts of those who came to listen.
It's one of those things where if you can read an account of something or have someone tell you what they heard about that happened, it can have an effect on you. It's a completely different effect from someone telling you with their own mouth, this is what happened to me.
Mr. Markovitz's story is not only inspiring for so many of the students here at Seminole Ridge, but it also helps them to keep one very important thing in mind.
Main theme of the Holocaust itself is we remember. And if you will instruct people into historical events that happened, it can make a difference. The whole purpose of studying history is to avoid repeating mistakes.
With Mr. Markovitz living a majority of his life in the United States after World War II, he says he's now able to share his story with kids from all walks of life, ensuring no one ever has to go through what he has again. For WSRH Extra, I'm Caitlin Clark.
Gavin Sumner was born a little different. Growing up with no fingers and only one leg, Gavin has had to learn to overcome each and every challenge life throws at him. But surprisingly, he's been able to take weight off his shoulders by putting weight on them. WSRH Extra reporter Brock Plancarte has the story.
Been aware of it the second.
16-year-old Gavin Sumner is your average teenage boy. He goes to school and hangs out with his friends on the weekends. But there is one challenge Gavin has had to live with his entire life.
I think it really gave me a positive outlook on life, even though it can be looked at as a very dark thing. I've always kind of cherished life in a way I don't think some people cherish it.
Gavin was born with a missing leg and fingers. Later in life, he obtained a prosthetic leg and even hands. Corey Sumner, Gavin's mom, says she initially put blame on herself for her son's missing limbs.
And we had my intake ultrasound at the Army hospital. And that's when they said, we believe he's missing a foot, some fingers. And I immediately thought, well, they thought at first that it was amniotic band. So they're like, it's just something that happens.
Gavin's inspiring perseverance has gotten him to where he is today. One thing's for sure, though. His positive spirit certainly outweighs his adversities.
I really chose to train Gavin because I wanted to, make sure that someone who was actually able to do the research and someone who was willing to do that research would be there to help him. We want someone who maybe necessarily wouldn't put in the work that's needed and what's really needed to make Gavin get to his best potential and the highest potential that he has.
Gavin's tremendous support he feels from his friends and family at home encourages him every day to go out and reach for the stars.
People around me in the gym, they've always pushed me to, push myself and to keep going to the gym and to try new things. And I never really felt alone in my process in life.
While doing simple tasks has not always been easy for Gavin, he is still able to work past those challenges and take life one day at a time. For WSRH Extra, I'm Brock Blinkarte.
As early as the 1930s, arcades began popping up all throughout America. Kids of all ages hanging out by the coin-operated games with their friends after school and on the weekends. Now, games like Pac-Man and Donkey Kong are hard to come by. But one museum is working to introduce those old games to a new generation. WSRH Extra reporter Isa Fontecchio has the story.
The Silverball Retro Arcade and Museum in downtown Delray Beach is home to many classic pinball machines that serve as a blast from the past.
For the young kids, Silverball is cool because we're retro. For the adults, for people in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s years of age, this is a trip down memory lane.
While most museums feature rare items you can't touch, Silverball encourages you to get your hands on their displays and play.
The museum is everywhere because above every game that we have its history. We have what it's known for, the year it was born, the company that made it. They go back, the pinball games go back as early as the early 1950s when there were wooden baseball games. The games travel in chronological order up and down the lanes.
Not only does this museum dive deep into pinball history, but the museum also has an emotional upbringing.
Rob Ilvento and his wife Jean's eldest daughter is on the spectrum. He, being involved in the food industry, he was at a food convention. He had his eldest daughter with him, and he saw that she gravitated to a pinball game.
This led Ilvento to not only buying one pinball machine, but enough to fill 2 whole Silverball arcades.
This nostalgic blast from the past is definitely a highlight in the downtown Delray area, one that is sure to bring joy to all for many years to come. For WSRH Extra, I'm Isa Fontecchio.
Busch Wildlife Sanctuary works hard year after year to rehabilitate furry friends all throughout the animal kingdom. In order to get these animals the help they need, they have now relocated to Jupiter Farms. But one cold-blooded creature sees an especially significant impact from this change. WSRH Extra reporter Lainey Rodriguez has the story.
Originally built on 8 acres of land in Loxahatchee, Busch Wildlife is thriving in its new 20 acres in Jupiter Farms.
We have more space for our permanent residents. We have more space to rehabilitate animals that come through our wildlife rehab center.
That pink nose and those cute little round ears.
The new sanctuary was built in order to house the rehab center and hospital. These are the heart of Busch Wildlife and prompts them to work hard to make all of this happen.
I feel like it's almost like quadruple the size of what it was at the old place, so we can actually take in more injured, sick, orphaned wild animals, help them to feel better and get them back out into the wild where they belong. So honestly and truly, that was one of the big reasons why we had to move, is because of the amount of animals that come through our doors that need help.
The hospital helps so many different animals, including one of Busch's oldest residents and staff favorite, Freddie the alligator, and she is absolutely thriving in her new habitat.
Freddie is an American alligator. She is our oldest resident. She is 40 years old, been with us since 1983. She is a female, even though her name is Freddie. We actually found this out because one day, a long time ago, the keepers went into her enclosure and discovered a clutch of unfertilized eggs. So we knew that day she was female from then on out. Have anything that you can spare? I do have that donation.
Though many of the animals Busch Wildlife helps are able to go back into the wild, Freddie is one of the few that need to be cared for carefully.
Unfortunately, the reason why she came to us is she is essentially premature. A little boy found her egg, wanted to see what was inside, did not wait for her to hatch, and cracked her open early. So she has stunted growth. She's smaller than she should be, a little under 6 feet. She should be about 8 to 10 for her age.
Transporting Freddie was difficult, as with any big animal, but using special techniques and trainings, they were able to get it done.
The different animal keepers actually helped to train Freddie to target, where essentially they get a buoy on a stick and they teach her with food, rewards, and incentives to essentially follow commands, like to follow the stick and where to go.
Staff and visitors are all very excited about this new habitat, helping in so many ways while giving the residents of Jupiter a new place to visit. For WSRH Extra, I'm Lainey Rodriguez.
Well, that's it for this episode of WSRH Extra. I'm Olivia Evans.
And I'm Caitlin Clark. Remember that you can follow and send submissions to us on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Seminole TV.